Nothing out of nothing. Well, I see that you have diploma on the wall being from Czech Republic. It's just a guess. It might be just a recipe for good soup. Anyway, what kind of education do you have, Mr. Zaunstar and Mrs. Zaunstar, and how did you two meet? Well, so I actually have a master's degree in counseling psychology, which I already mentioned, and bachelor's degree in psychology. And Mrs. Zaunstar has a bachelor's degree in Russian studies, and she originally went for violin conservatory, but then she did Russian studies, and then for her grad school, her master's degree is in international business transactions or something like that, international business of some type. So we met online the old-fashioned way back in '98. We met on Matchmaker.com. So we had our first date April 10th of '98, and the rest is history. And LJNYT says, have you ever thought about having Mojo or Snowball do any of the asides in your videos? That could be unbearably cute. Yes, the cats are extremely cute, and I've actually put them in asides before. It's been a while though, and I probably could make better use of the cats because everyone loves cats, let's face it. So I know DTM52, I know his cats actually like my cats so much that they even, well, maybe they like me so much, I don't know, but they'll watch me on YouTube. He sent me a video of that. It was pretty funny. So, and he's a 49ers fan, as I know LJNYT is as well, and a few others that I know also. So yes, so what else? Rita Brown, how do you think the world will really end? Will humankind have already evolved to the point of living on other planets, or will it end with one great catastrophe? I doubt it'll end in one great catastrophe, but there's really no telling. I think even in a nuclear winter type of situation, I think there would be enough pockets of people that probably would survive somewhere, but it's hard. It's very hard to say. And how the world will really end, it seems as if the world is still spreading, or the universe rather is still spreading apart. So I guess in the end, the system just runs, it's out of free energy for heat or whatever, and it just dies. But you have to ask a cosmologist, somebody that's much more knowledgeable about that kind of thing than me. So all right. Mr. Musical Atheist, have you heard of Kenshiro Watatata? I have no idea what that is. Sorry. Mario Preciado, hey, just right now I'm doing some research. Do you know if the campus police was armed during the 2007 Virginia Tech massacre? I can't find this info. Well, yes, the campus police actually were. Oh, and Mario, by the way, lives in Panama, and I tried to meet up with him when I was in Panama a couple months ago. We couldn't manage to meet. Panama is extremely jammed with traffic. It's ridiculous, but and it was just hard because I was there with a client. I was only there a couple days. So, but anyway, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Virginia Tech, they had a police force right on the campus, and it was still no use. It's just, it happens too fast. When you got guns that can kill that many people that quickly, there's just not very much you can do. The Shmee, did you ever beat Diablo 3? Well, I got through Act 2. Let's see, I got to Act 2 Inferno, and I kind of stopped playing. I haven't really played in months. I've been playing PlanetSide 2 recently, and that's a lot of fun. I'm on the Waterson server, and I play new Conglomerate faction. So, and my name is Zaunstar there. So if any of you play PlanetSide 2 and want to say hi, feel free. So the Messianic Manic says, who are five of your favorite YouTubers? Well, TJ, the Amazing Atheist, is obviously one. I've definitely always liked his work. Been a subscriber to him for years, and he's helped me out quite a bit along the way as well. And he always has, I think he generally has interesting things to say, which is not to say that, as with anyone, I don't always agree with him on absolutely everything, but I do tend to agree with him most of the time. His way of talking about things is not at all the same as mine, but a lot of the time it's sort of the same conclusion. So I always appreciate him. Cardinal Virtues, is a real-life friend of mine. I don't get to hang out with him nearly enough, but he's Rithmdill or Physical Conservative or any other Federalist Films, you know, all his other channels before, but now his channel is Cardinal Virtues. So, but yeah, he's very knowledgeable about many things, including politics, that kind of thing. Hughes DV. So yeah, so Hip Hughes. He's a guy that just started making videos really pretty much this year, and I got to meet him also when I was up in Buffalo for work. And he's a teacher and knows a ton about history, and has done a lot of videos about history. And real nice guy. Definitely should subscribe to him. 1 Minute News. I like 1 Minute News a lot. That is it's just kind of fun little takes on little news stories. McKinley Greenlaw of One McKinley. He was someone that I had on my channels list, but he's part of 1 Minute News, and those are always fun. Coughlin, of course, always controversial and interesting. Richard the Dick Coughlin. So yeah, I watch his videos too, and I know he's been kind of busy over the past year, so he hasn't made as many videos, but he's always interesting. So alright, we have King Badass 100. Now, King Badass 100 always asks me, for some reason, like every video he asks me like 5 random questions about things. So alright, finally you get your chance, buddy. My question is this: why do you think these countries are like this? Why is there some bloodshed in Africa and sexism in Asia? My mum told me... Your mum? That's the Britism there. My mum told me the reason why third world countries are the way they are is because democracy isn't part of their culture. If that's so, shouldn't we change our culture to their culture to fit ours? No, the whole nation building, all that kind of crap, no. Just no. It's that sort of thing just doesn't come at the end of a gun. You know, yes, try to maybe in certain situations I think it can be okay to help the people let their own will be followed through, in terms of like if they're being oppressed by a dictator or something like that. But sometimes, as we've seen many times in the Middle East in the last couple of years, that doesn't always work out really well, and we've done enough meddling in the past that let's do less of that. King Badass also says, is Western culture superior? I ask because though other cultures do supposedly treat their elderly better, let's see, come to even wealthy non-Western countries seem to have dubious records when it comes to human rights and the environment. Okay, so I don't know that Western culture is superior. There are some things that I think we have figured out better than some other countries and regions, but I don't think that necessarily means that we're superior at all. I think this whole idea of American exceptionalism in general is way overblown, and I know politicians think they have to say it, that America's the best and blah blah blah, but I think a lot of it's just where you're born. I think there's a lot of measures where the United States is certainly not the best place to live. It is the place I would prefer to live, but most of that is because I'm from here. I know how stuff works here, and I know how I can do the best within this system. And if I lived in another country, I'd have to figure it all out, and then perhaps another language and all that. So there's just it's the path of least resistance for me and probably the most success to stay here in the United States. So I do. WZ0077 says, why are you so awesome? I have no idea, but thank you very much for thinking that I'm awesome. Angela Links 999 says, on a silly note, you're sexy. Would you be up for an extramarital affair with me? Again, thank you for the compliment, but I'm pretty sure you'd have to run that past Mrs. Zaunstar first. So would you, and Angela Links 999 says, would you do a video about your cats? Well, I've done videos where the cats have been in the video before, as I mentioned, and I've sometimes thought of doing something with the cats in some other manner, like doing some videos about them, but I'm pretty sure you guys would get annoyed very quickly, even if I interspersed the video, like my regular videos with a few cat videos. I think people would get annoyed and probably not like it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You tell me. Sweetburger Man 1996, what's your opinion on Rocky Anderson and the Justice Party? I read up a little bit on that just before doing this video. I don't know exactly what to make of him. He seems okay, I guess, but that's sort of faint praise. I don't have enough information really to be able to tell for sure. Okay, so Atheist Psychonaut, why did you start making YouTube vids? I started making YouTube vids because I wanted to be part of the conversation, and I didn't think comments were really cutting it, so I decided to make my own channel and I start using my own channel rather, instead of just commenting, actually be part of the conversation, and that's what I continue to do. Talladega Tom says the President of the United States, in speaking about the school shootings in Connecticut, said God called his children home. The illogical nature of such a stupid sentence is a bit concerning to me and other atheists I know. Do you have an opinion on the statement? Yes, I agree with you that the statement is stupid, but he's a politician. That's what he feels he must do, because that's what he feels like people want to hear. If I got upset every single time that a politician or somebody said something like that that was illogical and nonsensical, I would be a very, very frustrated person pretty much 100% of the time. So it's not something I can get wound up about. It's just not worth it. But I agree that it's dumb. So, Vulpix, do you agree with Thomas Jefferson, who said, ridicule is the only weapon which can be used against unintelligible propositions? Or do you agree with Carl Sagan, who said supporters of superstition and pseudoscience are human beings with real feelings? Let us temper our criticism with kindness. Well, I don't want to pick a completely middle-of-the-road answer here, but there are some cases where I see some people using ridicule to a point that I would probably not. I mean, I know there's some people I know that talk about like Cult of Dusty or something, like they think that sometimes he goes too far, which maybe, there are ways he says things that I don't necessarily, let's just say I wouldn't feel comfortable saying some of the things that he says in the way that he says them, but I think that ridicule does have a place. You just have to, I think I have to be careful about not going after an individual person unless they have already put up a video or said something or done something specifically. I don't want to stand there and say, oh, theists are this, theists are that. It's the same way I don't like it when people put up videos that are like, oh, atheists are this, atheists are that, or any particular religion, Muslims are this, Muslims are that. I try to temper that a little bit with specific criticisms. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. I do try to temper my criticism with some kindness too, because most of my friends are theists. So that's something I always keep in mind. So Ross Seville says, do you think the recent tragedy in Connecticut will bring the USA any closer to cracking down on guns and long-term start the U.S. on a path to outlawing guns as they've done in most of Europe? Finally, what is your opinion on guns? Do you prefer banning them, or do you think guns are integral to U.S. culture? Well, he says, many thanks and Merry Christmas, Zaunstar. Merry Christmas to you, sir. So, anyway, so the whole gun thing, again, for one thing, it's constitutionally protected to own firearms of some type. Yes, there are, of course, lots of caveats there, and you can have your house very, very well defended with rifles, shotguns, handguns, any kind of basic weaponry. If there are people coming to your house with multiple assault rifles, it's probably the government. I always, the whole proposition, I explained this a couple videos ago, one or two videos ago, about this proposition of like, oh, it's our tyrannical, we have to be able to fight off our tyrannical government, which, I find very amusing. So yeah, good luck against that, against drones. So I don't think that's going to happen, that's going to be outlawed entirely, because it can't be. I do think there may be some laws that may be changed for assault rifles, that sort of thing, but I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen. Ultimate Saged, where did the name Crocoduck come from? That didn't come from me, that came from Kirk Cameron. Definitely do some Googling or YouTubing on that one, and you'll find Kirk Cameron and his Crocoduck. Silver Six Crade says, what do you make of the NRA pointing the blame on films and video games rather than focusing on the real issues? Do you think people are wise to the scapegoating of media these days, or does it still work on the masses? Well, it works on some part of the masses. There's always going to be the parent television council and all these little groups that make themselves sound like they're enormous, and really they're working on in the basement of some place on Main Street in some small town in Wyoming or something. But yeah, I think that what I make of that is people are not really necessarily wise to that. But the NRA is going to point fingers anywhere except for guns. That's what they're paid to do. The gun lobby is paid by citizens who want to be able to have any type of gun that they want at any time, anywhere, and they pay the NRA to fight any kind of gun law, no matter what it is. So the NRA is gonna say, oh no, it's not the fault of gun laws or the people, can just get a hold of assault weapons. It's films and video games. So that's what they're gonna say. The legend Ruby Rod says, "What books, art, music, and video games do you like?" I come to think of it, well, I don't do a lot of reading these days that are books. I do a ton of reading on the internet, but very few books that I actually read cover to cover. Like, there's some reference stuff, but most of it's online. There's really a lot of what I read is online. It's articles about current events and news and what's going on in the world, and whatever I want is right there. So I can have a much more focused approach. If I'm interested about a certain topic, I can read about that topic online and get most of what I could get in a book that might take me a day or two to read and might only contain this much of the actual item that I was searching for. So it's a more targeted approach, I guess. Art, I'm not a great appreciator of art. I just think that, like, I see art and I don't, maybe my right brain just isn't working well enough or something. I see art and there's some things that are like, wow, that's really cool. And there's other things that, like, a lot of people see, especially old stuff, like old paintings and stuff like that. Oh, that's a classic painting. That's great, wonderful. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's nice, I guess. It just doesn't speak to me much. Music, I've wanted to do a video about that for a long time, but again, I'm not really sure how interesting that would be to anyone. So, yeah, and video games, same thing. I do like there's a lot of video games that I've liked over the years, and I'd like to talk about that in a video, if you want me to talk about it. I don't know. So do you think being vegetarian is a sin? No, I don't know why it would be. I'm not sure why being a vegetarian or not being vegetarian would be a sin. I think it's whatever you feel like you want to do, whatever makes sense to you. I think I do have some other opinions and thoughts on that, but I'll do that in a whole video by itself at some point. So anyway, that's it. That is the entire bunch of questions, and this has been a really, really long video that I'm probably now going to have to chop up into more pieces than I originally intended. But that's okay. And thanks for a great 2012, everyone. And I have enjoyed, hopefully, entertaining and or informing you over the past 12 months, and I'm looking forward to an awesome 2013, and I hope to make more videos. And I appreciate, again, the support. Talk to you soon, Crocoduck Army.